This episode of The Bill and Callie Show is brought to you by Tiger Plumbing. Whether you need to replace a faucet, overhaul your sump pump, or desludge your drains, call Tiger Plumbing. In today's world, knowing who's at your door is important. Tiger Plumbing sends you your technician's photo, estimated time of arrival, and a little bit about him or her. Hey, Sam likes fishing and camping. Cool.
The Bill and Kelly Show is recorded at Studio A at Executive Suite Squared in beautiful Hammond, Indiana. Now, here's Bill and Kelly. Hello, welcome to our show today, and our guest today is Mark Yeager, who is with a non-for-profit called Heartstrings and Notes, which is a part of another organization called URPursuit.
Correct.
And we're going to let him explain all that in just a bit. But Mark, first of all, welcome to our show.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I know we're violating social distancing here, but yeah, we don't.
We're good.
You know, WGN studios were booked, so we. You know.
And I've said this all along. I have a vodka every night, and everybody knows that alcohol kills germs, so I'm good.
Yeah. That explains a whole lot of things, doesn't it, folks? So, welcome, Mark. And why don't you start out by telling us a bit about yourself and a bit about how you got involved with these organizations.
Sure. Well, I was born in Indiana.
Oh, okay.
St. Margaret's over in Hammond,
Yeah.
which I think is Franciscan Elementary, which is the elementary school they used in the movie about Christmas.
Oh, that's right.
Yes,
The Christmas
yes,
story at
yeah,
Harding
Christmas story,
Elementary.
yes.
Is that where they filmed the kid getting his tongue stuck on the pole?
I don't know about that part, but
Oh.
it could be
Is it
possible.
Christmas story?
In the Christmas story, it was at Warren G. Hardy
Yeah.
Elementary.
Okay, all right.
I lived a block and a half away. I walked to school there every day. Basically grew up here in northern Indiana until I was 17. The whole family left and moved to Los Angeles area. My father
Wow.
took a job out there
Mm-hmm.
when I was 17, and they stayed about 10 years, and then they all moved back here, and I stayed in LA for about 38 years. In my first year that I was there, a group of teenagers in the community we moved into took me on a trip down to Gila Bend, Arizona, an Indian reservation called the Action Indian Reservation, where we did things for children. And back then, this was 1980, it was pretty destitute. The conditions weren't that great. Kind of opened my eyes, and then not too much longer, we went down to Mexico, a Tijuana area, and we started working in orphanages there. And they just really caught my heart, these children that live in these orphanages in a third world country. So over the next probably 10 years, I went down there maybe 15, 20 times, taking different teams down into Mexico. And in the beginning, we would take huge amounts of food and clothing and equipment down there across the border to give to them. But after a while, we discovered and learned it was better for us to bring money and buy things there in their economy. And it made it better for the people who were helping. Oh, yeah.
Sure.
The community was more embracing of us when we did that.
Oh boy, that makes sense. You're supporting the local economy, which kind of backs them off a bit. And,
Right.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, so the next 20 so years, I've taken mission trips all over the United States and throughout the world. I've been to Bulgaria, Haiti, Mexico, Philippines, and India, taking teams in to help facilitate feeding children. Yeah. And back in 9/11, a buddy and I wanted to go to New York and help, but we were really challenged with the fact that we didn't know what we would do when we get there, and we didn't want to be in the way. So he and I decided we would get credentialed so that we could be disaster relief responders.
Oh, wow.
So that next couple years, I went ahead and was credentialed to become a disaster relief responder as a multi-faith chaplain, so that I could go in and I could help facilitate at any level. So went through FEMA, psychological first aid, trained at Red Cross, trained with law enforcement, with civic organizations, and put myself prepared. So over the next 15, 20 years, I deployed to most things in my region, and I did 17 national responses. The mudslide, open fire, the hurricanes, the tornadoes. I would respond either by myself or with the team and help. And I
think
just
that's
loved
great.
doing that, yeah.
Yeah.
And that piece that I learned in the disaster relief, I learned so much about helping folks in need that it transferred over to all the trips that I was taking to help children. And my big passion is feeding children. I love to put things together to facilitate sustained feeding of children. So back in the day, we would raise money. I was a fundraiser, people would give us money so we could go help the children. And it got to the point I didn't want to be a fundraiser. So much time was needed. And people give, they have great hearts, but once they give, they want to give to something else, and it's hard to always keep replacing that fundraising. So I ran into some buddies in 2007, 2008 that we were doing some human trafficking work, awareness work, and they had come up with this concept of creating micro businesses to fund what you were doing.
I love
So
that.
yeah, it was phenomenal. It was very enlightening to me, especially being in the third world countries where most people that earn money earn it on their own with their own type of business. So facilitating that wasn't a challenge. Packaging it was what we learned how to do. So since basically 2008, 2009, we've created micro businesses in primarily Haiti, Mexico, the Philippines, and India to sustain money coming in every day that can feed kids on a weekly basis.
So what is this kind of like a fundraiser, or is it people that just donate money? How does that happen, these micro businesses and the raising funds?
Well, that's a great question. The big challenge is that when we go in and we create a micro business, we need somebody in that community that will own the micro business, that will have a passion for it, that will have desire to be successful, and part of their budget is feeding street children on a regular basis. So it's a unique type of person that you need to acquire to do that. And what we'll do is we will fund the startup of the micro business, and then depending on what the budget is over 6 months or a year, we may or may not support them with funds as they get going. It just depends on what type of business it is.
And what kind of businesses are there?
Well-
What do these people do?
We tried all kinds of different things in different environments. We tried 3 or 4 different things in Haiti. It was challenging because the Haitians are lacking in so many things. We would start an agricultural type of business and they would eat all the profits, and it wasn't happening. So what ended up happening to work in Haiti was hydroponics.
Okay.
So where they had to wait different stages to get the food, so they didn't eat it all at once, so that as it was grown, they were able to go ahead and feed kids with those hydroponics. So that one was a successful one in Haiti. I remember somebody donated money to buy goats so that we could milk the goat and sell them and have milk for the children.
Sure.
So we came back later another time to, where's the goat at? They're kind of sheepishly looking at us. What's wrong? We had to eat the goat.
That made me think of Heifer International, which I think is such a great thing.
It's
But
a great organization.
I see that.
May could start yoga classes with goats. That's the thing.
Goat yoga is a big
Goat
thing.
yoga.
That's right.
And use the money for that. Hey, just
Right.
saying.
Get the people to relax, have some
That's
goats
something
walking
I
on
just
you.
don't
That's
get.
right.
I mean, I know the hoofs, and I know those guys can jump.
I don't
mean,
care.
If they jump
It's
off your
goats,
back,
baby.
it's
There's
not
the goats playing with you.
It's going
That's
to
all
be an
that
intense
matters.
yoga session if the goat decides to jump off your back, because you're going
care.
to lose a vertebrae or something when that
Let those
happens.
goats jump.
Oh,
I'm
boy.
all about
Anyway, getting back to the topic at hand. Sorry, this happens all the time. We go off.
You
of
mentioned
these,
goats, I just get a little excited.
and if we mention llamas,
You're dead.
The whole show is gone. So
Wait a minute, maybe llamas would be a good micro business. I don't know.
It would be actually.
Depending
It
on
would
which
be.
culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
That's a good
llamas
idea,
are.
thank you.
Llamas and alpacas. Boy, you can
Yeah.
make all kinds of
Well,
stuff with that.
we found out in Mexico what worked for them there is street vendors, actually having carts that you set up for them to go out and sell food or to sell products that we would donate to them. So we had a group of Girl Scouts in Los Angeles that decided they were going to collect free things that we would ship to Mexico and to the Philippines, that the micro businesses that were thrift stores could sell them. They didn't have to spend any money on inventory.
Oh, I
So
love
they got it
that.
and turn around, they sell
Girl
it.
Scouts, yes.
Yes, so they're awesome.
I love
And
Girl
the
Scouts.
Philippines, I've been there many times, and most folks in the Philippines love U.S. products. So if it came from the U.S., it's going to sell pretty well. In the Philippines, we were able to do a couple different things, and I've got a new project that I'm working on that I'm real excited about. But we started off with a thrift store in the Philippines, and then we also did some food, and then the people that are helping us with the micro business there, they took the money from the thrift store, went ahead and fed kids, and they took profits, and they went and bought chickens, and they went and bought goats, and they started raising chickens and started raising goats, started selling milk, started selling eggs, started selling
Goat
chickens,
cheese, all kinds
and
of
they're
good stuff.
like this entrepreneurial extension
I
of the
love
concept.
that.
And they did that on their own.
That's what you
So
hope for with this.
just review this whole concept. So when you go out to start an outreach program in these areas, you set up a business to manage it that both does the fundraising, so it's self-sustaining,
Yes.
and part of it has got to be taking care of these kids food-wise. And when you say sustainable source of food, and you mentioned, what was it?
Hydroponics?
Yeah, hydroponic. Do you make sure that there's some type of farming going on to provide fresh vegetables and fruits, or is it that type of thing, or are you relying on the local markets?
We rely on the local markets mostly.
Okay.
In these environments, rice is sustainable. So what the challenge is rice really doesn't have any value when you eat it.
Nutritional
There's no
value,
nutritional
right.
value there. So it's the things we get to add to the rice, like vegetables or meats, that makes it so much more palatable, not only for the kids, but for people that are part of the process of saying, yeah, we're really helping the kids by giving them something that's
I
nutritious.
see, and it gets back to what you referred to before, is you're helping sustain the economy there, which is huge, because undernourished kids always relate back to something negative going on in the economy, so win-win.
Yeah, absolutely. And we discovered that, when we go into an area and we want to start a micro business, I always start with the government. I go in and I talk to social services, I talk to whoever's politically in charge at the time, I'll talk to law enforcement, the Army, other social services in the area, and I'll go in and I'll say, I understand that you would like to have the ability to feed more of the children that live on the streets. And of course, they always say, yes, of course. I say, I know you guys are doing everything you can. We appreciate you so much. I might be able to add something that would help facilitate for you to do that. Would you be willing to hear me out on that? I always say yes. So I say, well, this is the micro business concept. And as I explain it to them, I allow them to own it and I give it to them. And I say, well, if you wanted to do this, then I'd be happy in the background to come up and facilitate it, getting up and running and moving forward. And because we do that, now when we leave, those micro businesses are owned by the community. It's not just a guy from America that shows up that wants to be do-gooding. It's actually part of their culture now. So it's really exciting to do it that way.
Now, we're talking about kids. Of course, that it's a lot of passion towards that. Kids that have fallen short trying to get food. What about their families? The parents. Is there anything that you work with them on, or is it you primarily target the youth?
Well, our primary target is the youth, but we do help facilitate for families as well. One of the things that I learned many years ago is that collaboration is success. So whenever we go into an area, I always find out who's already there, who's already active, and what services are available by they call it the NGO, non-government organizations that are in the areas.
Sure.
And we collaborate with them to let them know what we're doing, so that as the kids come or the parents come with them, whatever their needs are, we can refer them to the right place that can help facilitate that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Wow, man, this sounds like you've thought this through, as far as not just helping getting the kids fed, but making sure that it's going to maintain on its self-sustaining.
I love
So
that.
that's a wonderful idea.
Yeah,
Supports the
because just going in
community.
and giving them food one time and then leaving, that doesn't really solve the problem.
Plus,
But
you're
this really-
supporting the farmers, all the local produce vendors. Boy, that's great.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, because
I
it's
love
not
it.
you're not taking anything away from the community, or
You're adding to
you're
it.
adding to it.
Right.
And so you're making sure that these kids are getting fed. And by the way, you farmer, you're going to be supplying this because we're going to be buying that produce from you. Yeah, boy.
Yeah,
Right,
and
and
it's-
children who are being fed have more capacity for learning things, and they'll do
Absolutely.
better in school, they'll do better as far as helping out around the house and helping the
Right.
family and growing up and getting jobs, and then everything just
Now,
keeps
I
Going
hate to
and
bring
going
this
and
up,
going.
but my thought is, third world countries where you're working, the instance of corruption
Mhm.
is there. And that's what, a lot of relief efforts have been stymied before with corruption. Is like, yeah, you're not going to get that food delivered unless you pay for my new Mercedes or something like that. Do you run into that, or do you? I mean, is this so well established that the people who want to try to blackmail you or whatever it is, they just can't do it?
Yeah, in the beginning when I first started these things, and we go to Mexico, we always had bought cash because you were going to end up having to give somebody some money somehow.
Yeah.
This was the
Somewhere.
80s.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like you said, now, because of the way it's set up of going in and allowing the community to be owning it, it's extremely difficult for any one of those people in that community to try to undermine or to take something away from it. It wasn't intentionally done that way, but one of the results of going in, having the community own what's going on, is that I haven't experienced any of that with this new model.
Yeah. That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, but I had to ask the question
Oh,
because
sure.
we
It
know
happens.
people that they have coffee businesses and they go down, and that's one of the problems that they run into.
Oh, sure.
Getting their beans out of that country to
Contra
market
and everybody else.
often
Yep.
comes with an
Right.
expense above and beyond paying the farmer or export fees,
Right.
and so
We experienced that when we went into Haiti. 2010 earthquake, I was boots on the ground day after. And there, literally within a couple months, were 10,000 NGOs registered to go in and help facilitate in Haiti.
Wow.
There was a lot of help available, but in the port where the things were coming in, there were still corrupt people that were requiring us, and us meaning organizations I was working with, to pay the people in the port extra tariffs, they called them, that were fees that they had just created so that they could make money
Make
off
money.
and such. And sometimes it was so much money, it took us a while to get it because we couldn't fund getting the stuff out of the storage to go ahead and help and use it. It was challenging.
Yes.
It's unfortunate, but
Yes.
that can happen.
It does, sure.
Fortunately, I haven't experienced that in the past several years, especially doing this new model.
mhm.
Good.
Yeah.
It's something that people there that you started up with the company handle. down
Exactly.
there. All right,
See,
they know how the ins and outs.
I'm just the guy, so I
Yeah.
tell them, I'm the guy. I show up with the ideas, and I help facilitate, and then I bring in the collaborators, and it doesn't need to function with me at all. That's the whole goal. It's kind of like the concept of you can either give them a fish or you can teach them the fish. So we go in and we teach them how to do this so that's not needed. So there's a new project that I'm working on that I'm very excited about.
Oh, cool.
I was in the Philippines twice last year. In the first trip, I met a group of doctors. And these doctors had found out about the micro-business concept and were really excited about it, and they wanted to be involved. And I don't take money. I don't want people just giving me money. If you want to be involved, you can, support a project. Help us get a startup for a micro-business. If you want to be involved with that, great, financially, wonderful. But if you really want to make a difference, get on a plane and go over there and see what's happening. And then put that in your spirit and come back and then see the difference in your support level
Yeah.
from that.
Yeah.
Well, these doctors are dentists. And so this one doctor was a very successful dentist in the Philippines, has 6 different dental offices, and had mentioned to me that why don't you go ahead and create a bank of dental offices? And I thought, really, I could do that? And then we sat down and we evaluated and we strategized and we came up with these ideas that very simply what we're going to do is open 5 dental offices over the next 2.5 years. For $10,000, I can fully equip and staff a dental office in the Philippines. What that does is it creates from the very start a viable business with no debt, so that as their budget is running day to day, they can separate the portion out that goes to the feed the children immediately. I love this because everybody in the Philippines needs dental work,
Oh,
and especially because of their diet. Their teeth
Sure.
really get torn up because of their diet. And so I was really excited about the fact that
That's
we were
so
going to
great.
put these dental offices together and that people were going to be able to come and get dental work on Sundays for free. because these doctors were going to donate their services
I
and their
love
equipment
it.
and everything to all the street
Wow.
children.
Yeah.
And if they had families that were living with on the street, they could come in on a Sunday
That's
and they
so
could get free
beautiful.
dental work. It gets better, because a group of doctors found out that the dentists were doing that, and they like, can we come by on Sunday and can we offer, medical evaluations for people? And of course, it works for them because they evaluate somebody. They have a
Sure.
doctor's office somewhere, so they may end up picking up a client. But the reality is, all right, I'm collaborating and we're getting an opportunity to help facilitate the needs of people, and it's not costing us any extra money.
Oh, man, that's great.
That is so wonderful.
Well, I love the
Wow.
way this works. It's kind of like a perpetual machine once you get
Yeah.
it going.
Yeah.
And this is stuff we love to hear about. People getting fed, people being helped, and yeah, this is great.
And the other thing is you're coming in before a natural disaster happens.
Yes.
You're just going in and getting these things started. So there aren't a lot of people to say, oh, well, we desperately need the help now so we can,
Right.
like you had in Haiti that time.
Yes.
Yeah, this just
Yeah.
gets it going so that if something does happen,
Mhm.
they're more prepared.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you ever get the feeling, because I mean, corruption is one thing, but in these countries, particularly third world countries, sometimes they are not based on helping themselves. They're based about it's all me.
Right.
It's like because it's survival, really.
Right.
We grimace about what's going on now, how we're going to be living differently in the United States and elsewhere. But in third world countries, I mean, they've lived ways that we couldn't even imagine having to deal with. And what I'm trying to say is, do you ever feel that there's a cultural shift once one of these companies is put in place, that they see all the good that's being done in their community and that somehow blossoms out, and people see what positive impact they can have on their own lives if they do something positive for their neighbors? Do you ever feel like an
Absolutely.
ignition happens in that community, and all of a sudden it starts spreading, and all of a sudden you see these people, well, probably I should do something to help sustain myself and my neighbor, and so you see that, though. I mean,
Oh, absolutely. When I was in the Philippines, the people there that we were underneath, that we were helping, would come to us and tell us that the Haitians for so many years have their hands like this because of their third world status. There's always help coming, so they're used to doing, okay, help me live my life. And the Haitians that were in charge were saying we need to teach them to turn their hands over and teach them to turn over and do for themselves, and make a living for themselves and make things happen for themselves. And so this is a type of a project that allows them to have ownership within themselves. And Bill, one of the things that happens is hope gets ignited.
Yes.
Hope gets ignited that there's good people all over the world. I remember in high school or in the early 80s, there was a song about that the Russians love their children too. I don't know if you guys remember that song, but that was one of the lines, is the Russians love their children too.
I remember Basketball Jones. I don't. But of course,
Or for some
I used to
reason-
kill that song, by the way.
I bet you did.
Well, only prior to puberty, because after my voice changed, that's okay. But anyway, so yeah, but I love that phrase you just used, turn their hand over from
Yeah.
receiving to giving.
Yeah.
Boy, what a great.
Because parents want to provide for their children. They just do. And I've been able to travel in 38 countries around the world over the past 20 years, and I've had the opportunity of seeing many cultures. And my personal opinion is that the world is full of great people
It is.
with great hearts, that their intent is good for everybody around them. And if you give them opportunity that sparks hope inside of them, it is contagious. And other people will see that, oh, if they were able to do that, maybe we can do that as well.
Yeah.
And it's been a fun experience for me, but I learn every time I go. I learned some new little caveat that helps facilitate being better at what we do, because we can always be better at what we do, no matter what we're doing, even if it's just our spirit is better.
Yes.
Boy, man, this is great work. Boy, I tell you, and when we first met at the chamber event, I kind of got a little bit of an idea, but after hearing this, boy, I'm so happy we had you on. This is wonderful work. Globally, we haven't really had anyone that's worked internationally on the show, I don't think.
Not too much.
No, so this is the first one, and boy, we'd love to have you back and maybe get an update on some of these micro businesses and how they're doing.
And how can people get involved in things like this, or how can they help, or how can they find out what you guys are working on?
Well, we are a 501c3. Heartstrings and Notes is an organization that filed with not only the federal government but the state government back in California is when I formed it. And that organization is whom monies are taken by those that would want a receipt that the monies were going towards. So if they were going to write it off or something.
Right.
We discovered that when we went to these different countries and we're creating businesses, we had a better receiving rate when we were business professionals ourselves. So we created a business consulting firm of 3 successful business people that are in Los Angeles, here in Chicago area, and in the Philippines. That is called URPursuit. It's URPursuit. So URPursuit.com. And so the Heartstrings and Notes, I haven't functioned with that one because I haven't been taking money in because I pay for it myself.
Right.
Yeah.
or I'm helping facilitate stuff. But if people wanted to be involved, there is an avenue that they can get involved. Go to URPursuit.com. Just send me some information, a phone, email, so that I can contact you. We'll see how you want to get involved. What is it that you desire to accomplish? Because there's many different ways you can be involved, not just giving money.
Yeah, and donating time. And
Exactly.
do you need people to go over to check on what's going on?
Yeah, we take teams in all the time.
All right.
And if someone's interested in going into that culture, we would put together a trip that would allow them to meet the people we're working with. We would want them to see more of the nuts and bolts. They'll get the experience of the culture and maybe do a little sightseeing in the between. But the purpose of the trip, if they went with me, would be to show them the nuts and
Right,
bolts of
what's
how we
going
do
on.
and what we do, so that it's passed on to somebody else that can hopefully perpetuate it somewhere else, another direction.
Yeah, this is great stuff. Great stuff. Boy. Well, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you coming on and sharing this with us, and we'll get all the information put on in the video and the posting with how people can contribute and find more about your organization, so they can either donate or maybe we have a retiree out there that would love to get involved and donate their
Doctors,
time.
dentists, whatever that are
Yeah.
out there that want to,
Yes.
you know.
And we've taken medical
train or
trips
do
before.
whatever, yeah.
We've taken teams of medical professionals before into the different areas we've gone.
Yeah.
So that's a possibility.
You know, like Doctors Without Borders, they,
Oh,
they
right,
do some
sure.
great work.
They're
with that.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Great organization.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is beyond medical work. This is
This is everything,
feeding and
yeah.
providing necessities. That's wonderful. Well, Mark, is there anything else you want to share before we close out the show?
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
No,
I appreciate it. So
absolutely.
thanks for letting me talk a lot. I appreciate that.
Oh, no problem. No
An
problem.
issue.
Yeah,
We're here for you.
No, don't worry
We just
about that.
interject basketball Jones and you know, squirrels and goats and stuff.
Yeah, and some characters come on periodically in the show that really, they're really out of our brains. We're,
Yeah. they're
Really?
real
We're,
people.
yeah, we don't take medication to success, so they just come out periodically when it's appropriate.
Okay, cool.
None of them come out today, so
No.
No,
well,
that-
maybe
that's
next
a good
time
thing.
I'll meet
Yes,
them.
next time.
yeah.
There's some good ones.
We love to say we're highly unmedicated. That could be good and bad on so many levels. So with that, we'll close out the show. Mark, thank you for the work that you do.
And we'll have all
thank
the
you for coming
information
out.
up for everybody out there so
Definitely.
that they can find out how to get in touch.
Definitely.
Thank you.
And we'll say goodbye for now.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
This episode of The Bill and Callie Show is brought to you by Tiger Plumbing. Whether you need to replace a faucet, overhaul your sump pump, or desludge your drains, call Tiger Plumbing. In today's world, knowing who's at your door is important. Tiger Plumbing sends you your technician's photo, estimated time of arrival, and a little bit about him or her. Hey, Sam likes fishing and camping. Cool.